So we're going to continue on with solving by elimination. Now we're going to look at the ones, now not all elimination is this difficult, it depends on the problem you're looking at, but sometimes you actually have to multiply both the top and the bottom equation by something in order to get it to cancel. So we're going to look at a few of those today. So let's say I have 5x minus 3y equals negative 14. And I have 3x plus 2y equals 3. Okay, so if you notice on here, there's nowhere on here that I can just multiply one of my equations by a number in order to get them to cancel. So when you look at this problem specifically, I can either multiply the top and the bottom by something to get my x's to cancel. In order to do that, I would either have to multiply I'd have to multiply the top and the bottom so I can get a 15 and a negative 15, because when I look at the x values, I have a 3 and I have I have a 3 and I have a 5. So the common number between them is 15s, but I would have to have one of them to be negative 15 and one to be positive 15 in order for it to cancel. Or I could cancel the y's, and I could get one of them to be, because I have negative 3 and 2, so a common number would be 6. I would need one of them to be negative 6 and one of them to be 6. So it's kind of up to you, and that's kind of where these get a little bit more difficult, because you may solve it one way and somebody else might solve it a different way. It just kind of depends on whatever it is that you see. Now in this problem, when I look at my y's, I see that one of them is positive, one is negative already, so that seems a little bit easier for me in this case to cancel out my y's. Like I said, I could have canceled my x's. It just depends on whatever you see first. So I'm going to have to multiply both of them. Now I need the y's to be a 6 and a negative 6. Well, I already have the negative there, so I want that top equation to be a negative 6. So I think, what do I have to multiply negative 3 by to get to a negative 6? Well, I'd have to multiply by 2. And when I look at the bottom equation, I would need my y to be a positive 6 then. So what do I have to multiply 2 by to get a positive 6? Well, that's 3. So now, my top equation, remember you multiply it to each part. My top equation would be 10x, bottom equation would be negative 6y, and this is going to equal negative 28. If I multiply everything in the bottom equation by 3, I get 9x plus 6y equals 9. So again, this is just one option that you could have chosen. You just kind of pick a variable you want to cancel and go with it. So on this one, my y values would cancel. So I get 19x and negative 28 and 9, which would give me negative 19. So if I divide by 19, I get that my x is equal to negative 1. Okay. So now I have my x value. So again, just like it was previously with elimination, you just pick an equation. Can be your original first one, your original second one, or even one after you've multiplied by a number. It doesn't matter. So you just pick whichever one you think's easier. I think with this one, I'm going to pick the bottom equation. So it was 3x plus 2y equals 3. And I know that my x now is negative 1. So if I plug in a negative 1 in for x, I get negative 3 plus 2y is equal to 3. I want to solve for y, I'm going to have to get rid of negative 3, so I'm going to have to add 3 to each side. So I get 2y equals 6. And if I divide by 2, I get that my y value is equal to 3. So all of these problems, again, are going to come out to nice, pretty numbers. Now, eventually, when you guys get pretty good at systems, when we start doing our word problems, that's not always going to be the case. Alright, so we're going to look at probably 3 more problems. So if you need anything from this screen, go ahead and pause the video. We're going to look at another problem. Okay, so this one we're going to try 3x plus 2y equals 6, and 2x minus 3y equals 17. Okay, so again with this one, I can't multiply either the top or bottom equation by something to get my x's or my y's to cancel. It's going to be another one of those where I'm going to have to multiply both the top and the bottom equation by something to get them to cancel. So with this one, again, it does not matter if you get your x's or your y's. In this case, whether I choose my x's or my y's, I'd have to get one of them to be 6 and one of them to be -6. Well, in this case, again, since I already have a negative with the y's, I'm going to go ahead and cancel out my y's. So I'm going to want this top equation to come out to 6y. So in order to get that top equation to have a 6y, I'd have to multiply that 2y by 3. And for the bottom equation, since it's already negative, it's a -3, I'm going to multiply by 2, which would make it a -6. So if I do that to both equations, I get 9x plus 6y equals 18, and then I get 4x minus 6y equals 34. Alright, so now if you notice, my y's will now cancel. So I can go ahead and do my elimination. I can cancel out my y's. So I get 13x. 18 and 34 gives me 52. So if I just divide both sides by 13, I get that my x is equal to 4. Okay, so there's one of my variables. So again, now I just have to pick an equation because I have to find my y value. Doesn't matter if I pick the original top, the original bottom, or even one of the ones after I do the multiplication. I'm going to pick the original top. So 3x plus 2y equals 6. I know that my x is equal to 4, so I'm plugging in 4 in for x. And so that gives me 12 plus 2y equals 6. Again, I would have to minus 12 to both sides. So I get 2y is equal to -6, which means that my y value is going to have to equal -3. Alright. So, again, there's another example where I had to multiply both the top and the bottom. I happen to choose y for this one. It could be your x's or your y's. It's actually up to you. The more often you do them, you'll look at them a little bit and be able to tell what would probably be the easiest way to do it, or a way to get a variable to cancel using smaller numbers if possible. Alright, well, if you need anything from this one, go ahead and get it. I'm going to clear out the screen. Okay, so we're going to look at two more. So let's say 5x minus 2y equals 24, and we're going to try 2x plus 5y is equal to -2. Again, I can't multiply the top and the bottom, or top or bottom equation by a number in order to get my x's or my y's to cancel. So this is another one where I'm going to have to multiply both. So since I'm dealing with 2's and 5's, I'm going to want to have a 10 and a -10, because that's the smallest number that they both go into evenly. So again, it doesn't matter if you cancel out your x's or if you cancel out your y's. In this case, again, I see a negative with my y value, so I'm going to cancel out my y's again this time. It's not going to be the case with the next problem we look at. Well, in order to get my y's to cancel, I would need the top y to be -10y, which means I'm going to have to multiply it by 5. The bottom equation to be +10y, which means I'm going to have to multiply it by 2. So I get 25x minus 10y equals 120. And the bottom equation give me 4x plus 10y is equal to -4. Well, as I can see, my y values will now cancel, so I can eliminate that one. So I get 29x is equal to 116. We divide by 29 to both sides, I get that x is equal to 4. Okay, so there's one of my equations, or one of my variables, I should say. So again, it's kind of up to you to pick one, either the original top or the original bottom. I'm going to pick the original bottom this time. It's just because it has smaller numbers with it. So let's say 2x plus 5y equals -2. And my x is equal to 4, so I'm going to plug in a 4 in for x. That gives me 8 plus 5y equals -2. Minusing 8 to both sides. Get 5y is equal to -10, divide by 5, and so I get y is equal to -2. Okay, so in this one we get x is equal to 4 and y is equal to negative 2. There's another solving by elimination where we had to multiply both. Alright, since the last three all canceled out our, our y values, I'm going to cancel out the x's this time. Okay, so if you need anything from the if you need anything from the screen, go ahead and get it. I'm going to clear the screen. Okay, so we're going to try 5x plus 3y is equal to 5, and 3x plus 2y is equal to 4. Okay, so again, I actually could get either my x's or my y's to cancel. If I look at my x's, I have a 3 and a 5, so I would have to make one of them positive 15 and the other one negative 15, because that's the smallest number that 3 and 5 both go into. Or I could have canceled my y's and had one of them become a positive 6 and one of them become a negative 6. But because of the fact that I have canceled y's each time, I'm going to cancel x's this time. So I'm going to make this top one come out to the positive 15, and I'm going to make this bottom one come out to the negative 15. No real reason, I just chose to. Okay, so this will give us 15x for our top equation, plus 9y equals 15. My bottom equation would be, oh, sorry, I just realized I did something in here. This should have been a negative 5. I was already, I guess, thinking about what number it was going to multiply to. I'm sorry. Multiplying the bottom equation by negative 5, which would give us that negative 15 and negative 10y and negative 20. Alright. So now, if you notice, my x's will now cancel. One of them's a positive 15, the other one's negative 15, so that's eliminated. So I get negative 1y is equal to negative 5. So if I divide them both by negative 1, I get y is equal to 5. Alright, so there's one of my solutions. Now I have to find the other one. Again, you just pick an equation, either the original top or the original bottom. I'm going to pick the original top, I guess. So 5x plus 3y is equal to 5. And I know that my y value this time is equal to 5, so I'm going to plug in 5 in for my y. So that will give me 5x plus 15 equals 5. Ah, that's a 5. Okay, I'm just going to erase that. It looks terrible. Sorry. Can't find my stylus. I'm writing with my finger. So if we minus 15, I get 5x is equal to negative 10, divided by 5. I get that my x is equal to negative 2. Okay, so this right here is pretty much as hard as systems get, especially with elimination, where you have to multiply both of them. So, you know, practice at them. I have everything in your homework coming out to nice, pretty numbers. So hopefully that'll make things a little easier for you.